ready? Okay, we're about to begin the Bris. Please, if you can, rise and welcome the baby by saying two Hebrew words, Baruch haba. Baruch haba means we bless the baby as he comes to the Bris. Two proud grandmothers bring him in, and the two words you said mean not only do we welcome the baby to the Bris, stay right there, and it also has an added meaning because the second word you just said, haba, has the numerical value of 8, and the number 8 is very special in the tradition of the Bris because every Jewish baby boy is supposed to have a Bris on the 8th day of life. That's why you are here on a Friday morning/afternoon to celebrate this man's Bris. And thank God we have a healthy baby boy, because if there would be any question about the baby's health, we would postpone the Bris. So you can sit down. I'm just going to give you a brief introduction to the Bris, which will be followed by the Bris, which will take place right over here. The third part of the Bris is the baby naming, where the baby's name is inserted, Jewish name is inserted for the very first time. And as I said, I'll give you a brief explanation to what's going on over here. Now, I'm doing everything traditionally. We also include the latest modern technique, so we don't compromise on anything. The end of the ceremony, but as I said, everything is traditional, so all the prayers are in the original Hebrew text. However, I will explain as I go along what each part of the Bris is all about. The end of the ceremony will be marked with a short prayer in English that you can all join me in. So I will just hand this out over here, and you can hold on to it because I know a lot of the men get very, very nervous at a Bris, so they can use it for families. They're terrible, these men, right?
What if you don't get nervous?
Now, the women are fine. They're fine. Okay, don't mind my voice. Just a little draft at night bothers my voice. Now, the first thing we do is a very old tradition to have some candles lit at the Bris. 2 candles, Lauren, go ahead. You don't have to say any prayers. You don't have to do anything special. And I will start a very brief explanation. We all know that tomorrow night we light the first, when it gets really dark, we light the first candle of Hanukkah. And I always love to mention, one of my pet peeves is that Hanukkah happens to be the most, in my humble opinion, the most misunderstood Jewish holiday that there is. Because everybody makes a mistake. They think it's all about lights and presents. But really, it's a very, 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 very spiritual holiday. Because at the time of the miracle of Hanukkah, there was a... You okay standing? There is a brief a misunderstanding, because at the time of the miracle of Hanukkah, the Jews were oppressed by the Syrian Greeks who occupied the Holy Land at the time, and they weren't permitted to perform any of their most sacred religious acts. And the Syrian Greeks wanted them to drop all their traditions and become just like them, assimilate. And one of the things they picked on was the Bris, was the practice of the Bris. And they couldn't practice the Bris. And it's interesting to think about, why did they pick on the Bris? I mean, they singled out a few things like Shabbos, Rosh Chodesh, the Bris. And what bothered them so much about the Bris? It really doesn't bother anybody if someone performs a Bris on a baby. They weren't human rights activists or anything like that. They didn't like it, and there are many explanations. And my favorite explanation is that a Bris happens to be a testament to the Jews' belief in the oral and written tradition of the Torah. The fact that the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, not only the written Torah, the scroll, the actual scroll, the written Torah, also the oral traditions. And by a Bris, and at a Bris, we collectively, all of us, we are redefining our belief, our basic belief in that transmission of the Torah from God to the Jewish people. I'll tell you why. Because in the Torah it's written many times the word Bris. And the actual commandment is written twice to show us that it's so important that it even supersedes Sabbath restrictions. The Bris in the Torah doesn't say in the Torah exactly what the word Bris means. It doesn't say where it's performed. It doesn't say anything. So, first of all, we know from the Torah that we are we are supposed to perform a bris on an 8-day-old baby. And that's what we're doing. So we believe in the written Torah. It doesn't say in the Torah what we do. Does it mean that you trim the guy's nails? Does it mean that you give a guy a haircut? Doesn't mean anything. We don't know what it means. And only with the oral law do we know, with the oral tradition that's handed to us from Mount Sinai, do we know exactly what we're supposed to do at a bris, what we are actually going to be doing. So that's something that the Syrian Greeks didn't want the Jews to perform. And that's something that we, as Jews, won physically the battle, but it not only was a physical battle, it was a spiritual battle. So think about that when you light the candle tomorrow night and subsequent 7 days and all the 8 nights. And okay, now we're going to get to the bris. The actual bris will be performed right over here. And this chair over here is what we designate in Hebrew. It's called the Kisei Shel Eliyahu Hanavi, which means the chair of Elijah the prophet. Elijah the prophet is symbolically present at every single bris, just as we have a special cup of wine at the Seder night for Elijah the prophet, Eliyahu Hanavi. We also have a special chair that is designated for Eliyahu Hanavi. I'm going to ask both grandmas to come around this way. It's easier to come all the way around because it's a little tight over here. To place the baby here. When the baby is placed over here, I will say a prayer in Hebrew. That prayer has in it an invitation for Eliyahu Hanavi and also a prayer for the success of the bris. Right over here. Don't worry, just put him down. I got it. Don't worry, he's not going anywhere. Eliyahu Malach Rabbeinu Shalach Lefanecha Amayim Elminu Samchim Sivat Yeshua Schadenei Sasanei Shalom Esacha K'may Tzeshalom Rav Shalom Rav Levi Sar Esacha Beilam Mechshal Ashrei Tivchai Rosefai Mishkan Chatzerah and Nizbah B'tu Beisach Shechalecha. Okay, Brandon, I need you over here. Take your son out the pillow, just take. You got him? Hold him up. Yeah. Don't be scared. I won't hurt you. Don't worry. Stand right here. Okay, we have a grandfather who's going to hold this man. Is that you? Come cover his face. You don't have to sit over here. Do whatever you want. Okay. You can stand there. I don't tell anybody what to do. Okay, now have a seat. Good. Feet over there. Keep your feet together as close as you can. You got it? Good. Okay, good. Excellent. You're fine. Keep your hands out of the way. Good, excellent. Baby's going to cry as soon as his diaper is open and his legs are held. That's normal. As long as we have a healthy baby boy, that's what's going to happen. Let's go. Yeah, I'm not a dentist. Let's go. Over there. It's okay. The story of my life. Now, as I said before, baby's going to cry a little bit when his legs are held and his... No, you keep this in your hand. Now, mother and father are perfect partners, equal partners, with God, no less, in the creation of a beautiful baby boy. Didn't do a thing yet. The creation of a beautiful baby boy. However, it's the father's mitzvah, specifically, to perform the bris. Okay, Brandon, you want to do this yourself? I don't know, they all do that. Okay, you want me to be your shaliach, your messenger, your agent to do the bris for you? Okay, that's Jewish anesthetic, by the way. Okay, now, as I said before, we do everything traditionally. But we use autoclaved instruments, we use gloves in the proper manner. So, Brandon, if he needs a refill, this is what you got to do. You got to jump around, dance around the thing, and then take it out of his mouth, and then dip it in the. Because if you do it over here, you'll get in my way, and I'm liable to. Should I do it now? Well, no, and he's fine. He's not complaining. I think you need a refill. Okay, hold down. Okay, good. Okay, now I said I don't do anything. You can go. Don't worry. I've done this before. Now, I don't do anything before the bris. I actually just mark the area, but I just have to clean out the area and make sure everything is ready to go.